State Department Inspector General becomes the latest watchdog fired by Trump. President Donald Trump on Friday fired State Department Inspector General Steve Linick, the latest in a series of dismissals of independent government watchdogs that have come in the wake of the president's acquittal on articles of impeachment earlier this year. "It is vital that I have the fullest confidence in the appointees serving as inspectors general. That is no longer the case with regard to this inspector general," Trump said in a letter sent late Friday to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The letter states the dismissal is effective in 30 days. Politico first reported the dismissal. The late Friday night announcement mirrors the dismissal of former Intelligence Community Inspector General Michael Atkinson last month and comes as Trump continues his attacks on internal government oversight. The president has shown repeated hostility to any independent oversight from within the government, often targeting officials he sees as holdovers from President Barack Obama's administration or part of the so-called deep state, which he believes is aligned against him. Linick, who was first appointed as an inspector general by Obama, had a small role in the impeachment inquiry. Linick gave a private briefing to bipartisan staff from 8 House and Senate committees and gave them documents that the State Department had received from Trump's private attorney Rudy Giuliani. The documents included unfounded allegations of wrongdoing against Biden and former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine Marie Yovanovitch. By doing this, he broke ranks with State Department leadership who vowed not to cooperate with the investigation. Read, Trump announces he's firing the State Department Inspector General. A State Department spokesperson confirmed Linick's dismissal and said that Ambassador Stephen Accord, an ally of Vice President Mike Pence, will take on the role. Accord's ties to Pence, which date back to when he worked under then Indiana Governor Pence as the head of the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, have previously rankled former diplomats who see him as a part of the politicization of the State Department. On September 11, 2019, Ambassador Accord was confirmed by the Senate, 92, to lead the department's Office of Foreign Missions, and we look forward to him leading the Office of the Inspector General, a State Department spokesperson said. Accord is a former career Foreign Service officer who served as a special assistant in the Executive Secretariat, as a political officer and general officer at Embassy Brussels, and served as a consular officer at the U.S. Consulate General in Mumbai. A senior State Department official confirmed that Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made the recommendation that Linick be removed, but the official did not know the reasons why. The decision to choose Accord as his successor was done in consultation with his management team, but Pompeo ultimately made the decision, the official said. "This is scary and completely unexpected," a separate State Department source close to Linick told CNN. This source didn't know of anything that seemed to trigger this beyond Trump's general ire with what he deems to be the deep state. A different source said senior staff in the State Department Inspector General's office were blindsided. Accord has been named under the Vacancies Act to bypass Linick's deputy, Diana Shaw, who just assumed the role this month after having shifted from the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General's office. CBS first reported Pompeo's role. Linick began his job in September 2013. He previously was a Justice Department prosecutor and worked as a top Department of Justice fraud official. He also served as the first Inspector General of the Federal Housing Finance Agency. At the State Department, Linick oversaw the investigation into former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server. His May 2016 report on the probe was critical of Clinton, saying the former secretary failed to follow the rules or inform key department staff regarding her use of the private server. He was also an assistant U.S. attorney in California and Virginia. Linick served as executive director of the Department of Justice's National Procurement Fraud Task Force as well as deputy chief of the fraud section in the Dodge Criminal Division from 2006 to 2010. During his tenure at the Department of Justice, he supervised and participated in white-collar criminal fraud cases involving, among other things, corruption and contract fraud against the U.S. in Iraq and Afghanistan, according to his State Department biography. The dismissal drew immediate condemnation from Democratic members of Congress. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called the late-night, weekend firing of Linick an acceleration of the president's dangerous pattern of retaliation against the patriotic public servants charged with conducting oversight on behalf of the American people. Pelosi added that the firing will set back the important work of the Office of the Inspector General to perform critical audits, investigations, and inspections of U.S. embassies and programs around the world during the coronavirus crisis. Senator Robert Menendez, the New Jersey Democrat who is the ranking member on the Foreign Relations Committee, called the firing shameful in a tweet. Trump has now fired multiple inspectors general in the wake of his Senate acquitting him on 2 articles of impeachment in early February, as the nation's attention was on fighting coronavirus. The president, CNN previously reported, has been fixated on ridding his administration of government watchdogs he views as Obama loyalists. In early April, Trump fired the Intelligence Community Inspector General, Atkinson, who had told Congress about the whistleblower complaint that led to Trump's impeachment. Within a week, Trump removed the acting Inspector General for the Defense Department, Glenn Fine, from his post. Fine's removal from the top job made him no longer eligible to chair an accountability committee tasked with overseeing coronavirus emergency funds. Trump also publicly attacked the top official at the Department of Health and Human Services Inspector General's office over a report on hospitals facing supply shortages. Representative Jerry Connolly, a Democrat from Virginia, condemned this series of dismissals on Friday. The firing of IGs, the fourth, is meant to intimidate and silence those who wish to hold corruption accountable, Connolly said on Twitter. It's an attack on our democracy and should trouble all members of Congress. The GOP silence on this is a dereliction of duty. This is a breaking story and will be updated. Click subscribe to receive the latest news.